Hi, everybody. It's Amanda Radke here from Punta Gorda, Florida. This is the Radke Report, where we highlight great people, great news, and industry stories from across the country as I'm traveling. I spoke here yesterday. I'm getting ready to do a panel today, and in between sessions, I had to grab this guy for a great discussion. Now, many of you guys probably know him, recognize him. It's Will Epperly, the world champion auctioneer. And I thought, Will, it'd be great just to start off. Tell us about your year and what it's been like being on this tour.
It's been a whirlwind. You really don't know what the Livestock Marketing Association is really going to ask of you to do it, but boy, it's been a whole lot of fun going to different parts of the country, getting to step into a realm that maybe I haven't been in that much. Has been like Superior Livestock, Northern Video, getting to sell cattle on the video. Really was a big step out of my comfort zone. I've always been live ring cattle right in front of me. So it was a whole lot of fun getting to see cattle traded from the western part of the United States to the southeast to the eastern part of the state, United States. It's been a whole lot of fun. Got to meet some great people, got to go to Washington, D.C., really felt like we were actually heard. It was an election year. Yes, everybody's open hearts and open minds.
Yep.
But for once in the agriculture industry, I really felt that our concerns, our what we'd like to see in some policies were actually really, really heard.
Awesome. So your story is pretty incredible. You said you did this for 12 years in a row. I got to first meet you in 2017 in Montana, and you were competing. And just to be amongst that caliber of auctioneers, these are the best of the best. Talk about being intimidated speaking in front of a room of people. Like when you're talking about the world, like best speakers in the nation, it's pretty intimidating. But I guess maybe tell a little bit about just that journey, 12 years invested in this and what it meant to you to finally win it.
So it meant the world to me. I grew up as a little kid. I watched the 1974 world champion Ralph Wade. And I remember looking at my grandfather that day and saying, I want to be like him. I want to be a world champion. So 2 days later, I'm selling my first baby calf. And the journey started from there. In 2010, I qualified for the semifinals in Oklahoma City. That was a big stage to come on when you're selling next to guys that have been your heroes. And you're getting to share that stage with them, how much fun that was. And at that time, it was 33 of us. Now it's 31 with a certain amount of qualifiers, but an amazing journey. And I watched myself actually this year, I got to watch back those reruns.
Sure.
And I watched myself progress from 2010 to 11 to 12 to 13. And then in 2014, when I made my first finals, when I made the top 10, and then from 14 until I won it last year, I never missed a top 10. Wow. And that was a bigger honor to me that I made those top 10s, that I was in the top of this deal. But the best part of it all, I've made some of the best friends that you could call anywhere in the United States, call them up and say, I need help. And they'll be there like that. The camaraderie of this contest is just unspoken and just unbelievable.
Well, I feel like being here, it's being around people with such a wealth of knowledge. And I would be remiss not to ask you, what are you seeing in the countryside right now in auctions? You were just in Fort Pierre. Maybe talk a little bit about that so we can like solidify this in history. What happened in Fort Pierre?
So Fort Pierre was the start of this, as I put it, as a fire. It's finally this industry where these cattle herds are so low and we're needing the numbers. Mm-hmm. But those 655-pound steers at $3.02 a pound, yes, they're in HTCs and they were the kind, but boy, what a wow market and what great things it is for the producers. And one reason why you sell at auction, you get two guys battling over something that want it that bad. You can get these high prices, and we're seeing it. The more you sell at auction, the more you sell it in these competitive ways is a way you're going to make the most money and get the most money selling. And we take all that risk.
Yes.
If them cattle aren't paid for, you're walking out of there with a check. I'm the one sitting there holding, going, are you going to pay for these cattle? And especially at these prices, surely make you a little nervous as a barn owner. But what great things that our producers are finally getting paid for. They put the hard work in within a breeding program, shot protocols, and raising these cattle from calving them out to backgrounding them to get them to these customers to finish feed to an end product that I'm sure proud of, because I'm proud of USA Beef, and I want to see it flourish, because we already see the world just absolutely crave what we want, and finally we're getting the recognition as cattle producers to get that.
Well, and I mean, it's the shot of optimism everybody needs. I mean, if you've held on this long, where it's been this tough for this many years between drought and input prices and volatility in the marketplace, you're a survivor, you are resilient, and it's time for your payday. But I have guys telling me like, well, yeah, Amanda, the prices have to be that much for me to even like break even with these input costs. And then you kind of have to be both a realistic pessimist and an optimist eternally to be in the cattle business. But I guess all that to say, what advice would you have for guys that are preparing to market their cattle in 2023, 2024?
The best advice I can give is be passionate in what you do. Be proud of your cattle. Tell your story. I mean, we've been talking about that the whole time we've been here. Is tell your story.
Yeah.
You've got a breeding program. You buy your bulls. Be proud where you buy your bulls from.
Mm-hmm.
The shot protocols that you give at branding, weaning, precondition time. Be proud of those shots and stand behind those cattle. A lot of guys right now want to put the pounds on the cattle, but the best advice I can give is green pounds. Turn them calves out. Let them calves go to grass or in big area. You can still feed them a background ration to help them gain, but be conscious of the flesh ability, because the next guy's going to want the compensatory gain with these markets the way they are. He's going to be looking at his cost effectiveness. And if you get those calves that are green, the kind, and have that breeding program and shot protocol, you're going to be looking at a pretty big check when you come to town.
Awesome. I like to hear that. You know, everyone wants to hear that. And it is an exciting time in the beef industry. We do have some challenges. Now, you mentioned going to DC, telling your story there. What do you think the biggest challenge facing the American beef producer is right now?
I think the biggest challenge is just misinformation. We are so small, and it amazes me that 1% of the country can feed the entire world.
Right.
But there's things out there that people want to show, the bad apples, as we call them in our industry, but they don't see the true rancher, the one that's up every hour during calving season. When it's a blizzard, they're going out and checking on the herd, making sure the herd's fine. You want to see a heartbroken man, and I've been one of them. When you lose a calf at calving time, you know, you've got to suck it up and say move on, but you sit there and you run through your mind over and over again, is just,
how is it my fault?
How could I save that calf?
I know.
And I think the biggest thing and the biggest challenge is telling our story.
Yeah.
I mean, we all don't want to tell our story because there might be some backlash of telling our story.
Right.
But I think we just have to brave it and just keep telling it over and over. Some people don't want to hear our story because it is the truth of what we do.
Right.
And if we can get the truth out there more of how much you want to tell about people, you got to love animals. You've got to love them to give your life 365 and 24/7, because they do not have a stopwatch. They get out.
Cows don't always love you back.
No, they don't always love you back, and they love to get out at 1 or 2 in the morning. You get a call from the sheriff's office. But I think that is the biggest challenge that we face, is just misinformation that has been put to the public. And the more and more we show our story and be proud, because we're always proud of our product. We just need to be a little more vocal and proud of what we do. And I know I catch myself doing it. I get in my barn and I get to doing my business, and I forget to tell our story.
Yep.
I might tell the story when we're behind the block and representing a set of calves, but
Yep.
going out and telling people. And I got the opportunity this year, actually in Denver, Colorado. I was sitting, waiting on a plane, sitting in a bar having a beer, and guy talked to me. He goes, "You're a cowboy, you know, and what do you know about the beef?" And I know that burger right there, you know how it's raised. And I started telling the story of the beef.
Yeah.
Started telling stories of ranchers. And all of a sudden I got 30 people around me.
Yeah.
Asking questions, wanting to know. And one lady did ask, she goes, "Well, don't all ranchers abuse their cattle?" No, ma'am. And I made this analogy to you yesterday.
Tell everybody this. So that's good.
My analogy is if I owned a sports team, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, softball, if I owned a professional team and I abused them, I verbally abused them, physically abused them, didn't give them the right health care, right diet, would I have a championship team? No, I would not. I would have nothing. I would be the last one in the laughing stock. So if I treat those cattle with the best health program, the best diet, we handle these cattle right, handle them with respect, because we're animal lovers ourselves.
Yeah. We're
going to be more profitable than ever. And I think that is the main thing. And another thing that I think is facing the cattle business today is our generation. It's hard labor. It's rewarding now. It's finally rewarding.
Yeah.
But seeing this cow herd decline and not pick back up.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it, the young generation come back and start taking pride in the family farm, the family ranch.
Are you seeing it more, or are we losing young people?
We're losing some young people, most of them, and especially in my area. I don't, in South Dakota, Eastern South Dakota, maybe you're seeing it too. Everybody wants to go back and be a grain farmer.
Yep.
Because they plant in the spring and harvest in the fall.
And they can go on vacation in January. Sorry, crop farmers.
And we love you and we appreciate you raising the crops that we need to feed.
Corn. We need that corn.
But I'd love to see a corn farmer as well have a herd.
Mhm.
And here's the positive of that. If the corn is high, your cattle are offset, where maybe you can offset there and not have to pay Uncle Sam a ton of taxes. Or if the cattle are high and the corn is here, you're still balancing yourself where you're still making money either way, but you have a plan either way this goes. And I think with the American crop farmer and the American rancher, I think we're here to make a lot of money together. And I think we're at a time where we can. Where I'm tired of seeing one sector suffer for another to prosper.
I know. I felt bad picking on them a little bit, but don't forget, like, it costs a lot of money to raise crops too. And that manure ready, which I'm told I say manure wrong. How do you say manure?
Manure.
Manure.
Yeah, some people say manure. It
Manure.
depends on where you are in the country. It's, you get up South Dakota, North Dakota, and up there in the north area, and it's manure. And
I had a bunch of people laugh at me yesterday after my speech. How do you say manure again? I'm like, well, sorry, I didn't know. But
that's something that you could bring back to a crop farmer. That we talk about organic and everybody, and that is such a big buzzword for the public today. They all talk about organic. Well, how can we make a crop organic? Well, what has always been the fertilizer for years and thousands of millions of years, and that's been manure from sheep, hogs, cattle, whatever, livestock. If we could take that, put it in a compost pile and sell it, or, you know, have a farmer that you know that you can remove it and compost it yourself, you're saving yourself on an input cost that costs, we all put anhydrous on, and we all saw it last year what they made us pay. And I think if the cattle rancher and the crop sector could work together in that, we can get organic being our word, that we're using stuff that's made from, everybody says it's bad things with cow farts, but we're using those things and utilizing them into the earth to grow food.
Natural fertilizer.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think that's the big thing that we've got right now of facing, but I'm a little bit optimistic. I think if you've got the grit, either if you're in the crop side or the livestock side of this, I think we're in for an amazing time, because we are raising here in the United States, raising the most sought after protein product, the most sought after grains in the world. And I think we should be absolutely proud of that.
I agree. And I always say, you know, we want to negotiate with these people that hate us, these activist groups that say you need to be greener, you need to be more sustainable, you need to do X, Y, Z, and the goalposts keep changing. To which I say,
what's more green and more environmental than a mama cow?
Right.
She takes something that's grass and turns it into something that can use to grow.
Right.
What's more green than the mama cow?
Steak, burgers, 100 plus byproducts, the manure. I mean, it is an environmental success story that we need to be screaming from the rooftops. I mean, the cow, the target's on her back. And that means, I mean, our industry, we have politicians that are picking winners and losers in the agriculture space, and they're saying livestock needs to go out. Like it's, and so we do need to get vocal. And I think it's amazing to have you on the road representing us, having this energy, this pride to be able to tell our story. I guess, well, a few last things. Number one, everybody's going to want to know what's next for you. You're wrapping up your years, world champion auctioneer. Where are you headed next? Where can people see Will Epperly in action? Well, you can always find me at the barn that I own with Jim and John Shaben there in Dunlap, Iowa. If you got cattle to market in that area, please do give me a call. I'd love to come out there and see your cattle and represent you if I can. And you can see me at the Wagon Hammer Ranch with my brother. My brother runs the Wagon Hammer Ranches for the Wolf family, Jay and Alex Wolf. They've been 100 years in business there. They have a great bull sale and a great female sale. One bull sales in the spring, female sales in the fall. I do consultant work for them. They have an awesome buyback program. They want to feed their genetics, and if they're able to, they're right there in the barn bidding on their customers' cattle, or they can contract them. They bid on Superior with them. So those are the kind of places you can find me. I'm gonna spend a lot of time with my family. This past year's took me a lot away from my wife and son, but that's where you can find me. And I hope that I get to meet some of y'all someday, shake a hand,
and we get to talk because it's amazing.
Wonderful. Last question. My son, he desperately wants to become an auctioneer.
Hallelujah.
He's so shy though. So I'm like, we've got some work ahead of us, but he was supposed to call in today, but he's at wrestling camp. I don't know how
He
that
should. As a wrestler, I think that's the one.
Yeah, he's got that energy. He's got to channel it into something good for right now. But 7 years old, we started watching like your videos, like all of the world champion auctioneering videos online. He's been starting to practice his calls. What advice would you have for a kid that's looking at guys like you and saying, I want to do that?
Well, one, I hope he's better than me. I could honestly leave this world and not be remembered, and that'd be fine with me. That I leave a legacy, that I helped a young man for his name to go on in the record books, or my son. If my name's never mentioned, you know what? That's okay. I left a good legacy. A young person, what I'd want them to do is to pick up some things that they like and make their own. I hear people, oh, he sounds like Will Epperly. Oh, he sounds like Trent Stewart. He sounds like Charlie Cummings. Find your sound where when people hear it, they automatically think your name. One thing is a big thing is do drills like $1, $2 down, $3, $4, $5. Your filler word will come from that.
Okay.
Don't force it. Hear it and then go, there it is. I'm working with a young man in Nebraska right now, and he's got breathing problems.
Sure.
And he goes, well, they told us to go to 10 or 15. And I said, so his body was telling him to take a breath every $4 to $5.
Okay.
And he was pushing himself through it. And I said, trust yourself. Hear that.
Find your flow.
Yeah, find your flow. And everybody's going to be finding different things. But you can pick up something from myself, from any of these guys in the contest to make your own. But don't go and I'm going to take 2 things from him and 5 things. Take 1 or 2 things.
Sure.
And build your chant that way. And I hope someday I come back here and your son's in here competing and I go, well, look at that. That'd be fun.
Okay, Thorn Radke, if you're watching this, give him like 1 call exercise he can practice, like a filler word he should practice.
So dollar down is a great
dollar down.
It rolls off your tongue. And $1, $2, $down 3. And after a time, it's just going to be a roll. And just muscle memory that it's going to come and it's going to pop. Okay. So that's one you can do. And sure enough, a lot of guys do this drill: $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. Then they go back to 1 and they double it: $1, $2, $2, $3, 3. And then when you get comfortable, do it 3 times: $1, $1, $1, and then go up from there 4 times. So that's a way to build a basis of an auction chant.
Okay.
Then you'll find the flow. But one thing I stress to all: clarity. You've got to be clear in your numbers and crisp, or guys will sit there and I get to going too fast sometimes, and they do this to me, and boy, that's tough.
Well, what I do. Oh, who do we have here?
That's one of them. That's
you better pop in here now. You're being recorded.
You're on recording.
Yes, you are. Well, yeah, we're asking for best advice for a young auctioneer. My son is 7.
Your son's 7, my son's 8.
Okay, he wants to be an auctioneer. What advice you got?
Better love it. Just stick with it. Just love it and take criticism and smile and go on, do everything you can to get better.
That's awesome. Well, we're here in Florida. It's a great time, surrounded by some of the best in the world. The best in the world. Will Epperly, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
This is Amanda Radke with the Radke Report. Thanks for tuning in.